joined by Cormac Smith, who's former advisor to the Ukrainian Foreign Minister. Thanks very much for joining us this evening. First things first, just want to take you back to the sanctions. Are they biting? What effect do you think they're having on Russia?
I think they are starting to have an effect. I mean, I've been saying they're too late, but I think finally we are starting to, in the words I've been using for almost 4 weeks, sanction Russia back to the Stone Age. We really, and it's unfortunate that the ordinary Russian people need to feel pain from this, but this looks like what is going to happen in the coming days and weeks. And by the way, the sporting sanctions are very important in this as well. And the reason they're important is Putin and his cronies in the Kremlin have a vice-like grip on communications in the country, especially on television, which is what most of the poorer and older people in the population rely on for their information. There is going to be no way to hide the effect of the sanctions from the ordinary man and woman on the Russian streets.
Yeah, so while they're feeling it in their pockets, meantime in Belarus we've got these talks going on between Kiev and Moscow. What hopes of those succeeding and a ceasefire happening, which is of course what President Zelensky would like?
I think there's very, very little hope of those talks succeeding. I just heard before I came on, I don't even know if this has got to the news rooms yet, that the talks have just broken up with no conclusive achievements whatsoever, but an agreement to carry on further rounds of talks. But certainly I said in interviews earlier on today that I had very, very low expectations. Certainly all of my Ukrainian friends that I speak to would be the same, but significantly, Dmytro Kuleba, the foreign minister of Ukraine, has made it very clear that they're going to listen. Any of what seem to be Russia's preconditions about effectively giving guarantees not to join NATO, ceding sovereignty over Crimea, denazification, which effectively would mean regime change.
Okay.
All of these things are a complete non-starter to the Ukrainians.
Yeah, and Cormac, we really appreciate you bringing that to us with all your contacts there, that talks are broken up with no conclusive agreement, but you're suggesting that talks and diplomacy may continue. What if nothing happens from them? What next?
Well, look, we've got to remember, and I keep saying there's more experienced and wiser heads than me will tell you the only way you can deal with Russia is from a position of power and strength. So diplomacy alone will never work. I think Putin has been driven to this negotiating table for what it's worth. Only 3 days ago, he was demanding negotiations on the basis of an unconditional surrender, that the Ukrainians would lay their arms down, and those negotiations would be in the heart of Belarus in Minsk. Now, the Ukrainians flat refused to do that. The truth is, the Russians have had such setbacks and have suffered such grievous damage to their forces in the last 3 or 4 days. They've clearly we're not expecting the strength of resistance that they have come up to, and then I think that has in part driven them even to the table of these negotiations, such as they are. The fear, of course, is that they will, and they are already, reverting to more barbaric and discriminate forms of warfare and targeting indiscriminately civilian areas.
Okay, Cormac Smith, thanks so much for your time.